Hello, fermented folks.
We have P. Jelly Clark.
All Makatsu.
We have Travis Baldry.
Today we have a really special guest, Leopoldo Gout.
Are you reeling it in and defending clowns?
I am.
Earth doesn't even exist in Battlestar Galactica.
This show me heartburn. I was like, I loves it, I hates it.
It's called All Fluff.
Oh!
If you didn't know how I actually feel about The Mandalorian,
Don't worry,
this is it right here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
What up, fermented folks? Welcome to another episode of Fermented Fiction, the show where we debate the best movies, books, and shows in the genre fiction realm with our distinguished guests from about the genres. Today, said distinguished guest is Neena Viel, my friend from the PNW, Bram Stoker Award-nominated author for her very first novel because she kicks fucking ass. Neena, what's up? Welcome to the show, and thanks for being here.
Whoop, whoop, whoop. Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm beyond excited to talk about this movie.
Oh, I'm so ready to talk about how I feel about it, which is however my dice tell me that I feel about it. And then we'll talk more after that. But yes, and if you don't already know, tonight we are discussing Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which is a super underground cult classic slasher mockumentary film. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But before we do that, we'll start this show the way we start every show, which is with our round of personal updates. Jelami. Which branch are you seizing today, my friend? What's going on in your life?
Yes. Well, today is a very exciting day for me because after roughly 2.5 weeks not being able to get it, I am happily popping Addy once again.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's really great.
Just loving things.
Just absolutely crushing one a day. It's, oh my god. The difference that it makes. I do not... the last time there was a global Adderall shortage, I didn't care for it. And now that it's happening again, I still don't. It still sucks. It sucks just as bad the second time, maybe worse. Yeah.
So this is a global thing. There's a global shortage. That's why you didn't have it?
Yeah, apparently. That it happens every once in a while. It happened like at the tail end of COVID when everyone realized that like, oh, I actually have like a thing and should be medicated for it. So it was nothing. And now it's just fucking cuz.
Sure.
So that's good.
Just fucking cuz. They mine that shit in Iran or something? Like, what is in Adderall? What even is it?
It's speed.
I know it's speed, but like, what's in it? Why
amphetamines. Just straight up amphetamines. That's it.
Okay.
Oh, and salt.
Oh, sure. Well, you got to retain your liquids if you're going to be that hyped up on speed. That's really important. All right, Travis, what's up with you, bud? Other than that, mustache is back, which is
a choice. Yep, the mustache is back.
Bud.
It usually
Don't
happens.
Mustache shame your brother.
Thank you.
I
Thank
can
you,
mustache shame my brother.
Nina.
This is
I
what
like
brothers are
back.
for.
I like the mustache. My wife likes the mustache, which is the most important thing.
There you go. As long as Chloe likes it, then we're good.
She doesn't like the baby face, so that'll never happen again. I'm on the farm again, as you can see from my terrible lighting and white wall background with gray window, which is a reoccurring set on this show.
It is.
And today I successfully, mostly by myself this time, separated an engine from a transmission.
Nice.
In the 2006 Subaru that has been the car equivalent of Jeremy's like hurt leg, where it just has been an ongoing thing for years on the farm, causing my father much stress. But hopefully, knock on wood, people, this is the last time, because this time it's not being fixed to be an operational vehicle for any family member. This time it's being fixed to be sold and gotten rid of for the rest of time and no longer on Vermilion Farms. So let's
That'll
hope
be great.
Our little journey with it is done soon.
Yeah, I think you just cursed it.
You can't curse it any worse than it's been cursed, man.
No, you really can't.
That car's been a headache.
Old Stevie Nicks is essentially a zombie at this point. She just keeps coming. She's like Leslie Vernon at the end of this movie.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if you have never watched Fermented Fiction, you should probably know about right now that we spoil everything. So if you haven't seen The Rise of Leslie Vernon, you can go do that for free on YouTube and basically nowhere else. And you should go do that because it's a movie. And we're going to spoil everything. So if that matters to you, then you should leave right now. If it doesn't, then hang out. Either way, this episode will continue to exist on the internet until the internet takes it away from us. So for me, my personal update, I too am in Montana. The three of us back together in the state yet again. I am also on family property, but I'm at the family lake house in Kalispell, taking care of my grandparents. We're dealing with some stuff there, so I've been here for a few weeks, just helping out with that, and trying to keep up with my film work and everything. So I guess that's kind of my personal update. That's why I'm in this different location. I was here last week as well. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with me. Trying to keep up with all of that is quite a bit of stuff to keep track of. Neena, welcome to the show. First timer on Fermented Fiction, and we're so glad that you're going to ferment some fiction with us. Can you tell the Fermented folks who you are, what you write, and something cool happening in your life right now?
Sure. Although first, I just want to say, hearing you talk about being in Montana, supporting your grandparents, trying to keep up with your film projects, it really gave me the Visit vibes. And so I hope you don't mind that. That's what's going to be happening in my head for your life for the foreseeable future. Is like,
I hope an evil version of our grandmother does not chase Clayton underneath the house.
I wouldn't have a chance if an evil grandma comes after me. Our
evil
grandma's unstoppable.
Yeah, she is.
That would be bad.
Yes, to answer your questions, y'all. So I'm Neena Viel. I live on Whidbey Island, so I am in the kind of greater, Seattle area. And about me, I like writing. I guess you could say I like horror that is, it's a little funny, it's a little heartwarming. There's going to be like a point, like a social point to the different things that I'm writing. And so, Listen to Your Sister. My debut novel came out last year. It was about 3 siblings really trying to make their way after the eldest becomes the guardian to her teenage brother. I'll Watch Your Baby, which just came out in May, so I'm still figuring my life out, is a supernatural horror retelling of the real life story of America's most notorious welfare queen. So as a Black woman in America, I have a real axe to grind. And maybe my brain does not work correctly. I was like, maybe I need some speed, because a lot of the questions I'm getting about that book are like, and why did you make it like a horror story? And I'm like, because history is all horror. Are we not reading the same books?
Yeah.
So either I have a problem or everybody else has a problem. I haven't quite figured it out. And what's going on with me right now is my next book is due in 2 weeks.
Oh,
so
shit.
I took 2 weeks off from work. And my mood swings are pretty wild. Every other day, I'm like, you got it. We're doing great. We're right on track. We're doing great. But I'm sweating. I'm visibly sweating like all the time. I can't tell if it's a psychological heat, because it also is just hot as hell, in the world. So who knows? Could be psychological, could be climate change, could just be summer. I could just be screwed. I could be doing amazing. I can't tell you the answers to any of these things.
Well, luckily, we're pretty much just here to get drunk together and talk about Leslie Vernon, so that's perfectly fine.
Great.
Thank you for taking some time out of your busy writing schedule to join us on Fermented Fiction, though. We really do appreciate that. And good luck with the book. I'm stoked to read it. I love to listen to your sister, and I have I'll Watch Your Baby in my TBR, but that thing is big, so I'll get there eventually. But I am excited.
5 to
get there
7
when I
business
can.
years. We'll loop back around that.
Yes, that's a good way to say it.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you, Neena. We're glad you're here, and I'm excited to check out your next book. Everybody, you should go grab both of Neena's books that are out already. I can speak for at least Listen to Your Sister is really, really awesome. Well-deserved nom on the Stoker. So yeah, let's get into this movie. We're going to debate this thing. This thing being Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, which was Neena's suggestion. So very glad that Neena suggested this. Whether I like it or not, I probably would have never watched it or heard of it if she hadn't told me about it. So what this movie is it's kind of like The Office meets a slasher. The concept is there is a serial killer named Leslie Vernon, and he wants to sort of immortalize his memory and his legacy. And to do that, he has hired a documentary crew to follow him around and document his latest slashing. And he's got a house, he's got an established myth, he's got everything kind of laid. The groundworks are all there for him to successfully slash a few unsuspecting teenagers, and he's even got his final girl picked out. So our documentary crew is following him around as he preps for the big show. And of course, this is the show in question being a mass murder. Things happen as the show actually starts to begin. So if I miss anything important, you guys let me know. But I think that's more or less the deal.
No, I think you got it all, and I think you two are ready to roll. Yes? Do you have your D20, Neena, or do we need to roll for you?
Can you roll for me?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Jeremy, can you roll for Neena? Also, Clayton, I'm glad that Neena's suggestion made you finally watch this movie, but I am pretty sure quite a while ago I suggested this.
You probably did, but like
no one likes a braggart, Travis.
I'm just saying. Also, I think the DVD is in our old collection somewhere. I'm pretty sure I bought it.
Oh well, if you bought maybe your collection,
it is.
I don't
buried
know.
somewhere. It's buried somewhere, which is awesome. But Neena, Clay, what are your rolls?
I rolled an 11.
Ooh. Well, Neena rolled a 12.
Oh shit!
Oh,
so
by
close.
one. By
right.
one.
Thank God.
Win.
I
So
did not want to have to
close one.
defend this piece of shit.
what that means, Neena, is that you are going to defend the movie because you rolled higher, and Clayton is going to attack the movie. And we will get your real thoughts after the debate. But the debate, again, is 10 minutes. No filibustering, so please share the time, be generous. And that's the only rule. If you want to do some hits below the belt, some real daggers to the side type of comments, totally allowed. We're okay with it. As long as you share the time.
And can I assist? Because, I had to mentally prepare myself for both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which meant I had to really come up with some very negative things that I had not thought about this movie before. And I kind of want the world to also know about those thoughts. So let me know if you need assistance, Clay, if you want me to tag in.
Yeah,
I'm also ready to pop off at the mouth on literally any issue here. So
I love that.
We'll definitely have you tell us what you would have used if you'd rolled the other way.
Okay.
That's always fun.
All right. Are you both ready to debate?
Yes.
Ready.
Okay. Your timer begins in 3, 2, 1. Begin.
Go ahead, Neena. Defender always goes first.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the position of exactly why y'all should watch the Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, part mockumentary, part slasher. It does a really damn good job at really both factors of those equations. It sits after Scream, but before Cabin in the Woods. And I think that's part of what makes this movie really great, where Scream does a great job of kind of establishing the archetype of like a final girl, and Cabin in the Woods kind of fleshes out the ensemble cast of everyone who gets killed in this kind of tropes. Behind the Mask is really quite a deep introspective on the slasher killer himself. Leslie Vernon aspires to be a Jason Voorhees or a Mike Myers, and but he's not built like those guys. All right, so he's got to go about it in some different ways. And I think it's the titular character for me that really makes this movie stand strong. He is just so hugely charismatic on screen and also hilarious. There are so many like one-liners you can take from this movie. I really like the part where he's like, you know how much cardio I have to do? It's ridiculous. Or I only get pets that I can eat. Like, he just has so many one-liners. He's so charismatic, which is really fun to watch because the slashers he's kind of modeling himself after are not really characters that are known for their emotional rage. Okay. And so it does feel very refreshing to watch somebody who's aspiring to be a serial killer, a slasher killer, he's not physically imposing. He's not built like a fridge, like Jason or Mike Myers. He is really expressive. He's really funny. And he's really approaching really every aspect of this with a lot of attention to detail. And I think this movie really succeeds at doing like a really special trick that I'm not sure I've seen in another movie that has done this as well, where they tell you exactly what's going to happen for really the whole movie. As you're watching it, they are very explicit with, and then this will happen, and then this will happen, and then this will happen. And you get like a few different angles of that, but it doesn't diminish the fun factor while you watch it going down, even though you are watching what's happening is exactly proceeding the way that the characters told you. And so I think there's also a really great point of view shift. This movie kind of answers, I've heard on some of the other episodes, y'all have talked about like the problem of like, when you have like a found footage or camera element, there's always a part where you're like, y'all got to put the camera down and just hightail it out of here. And this movie did it really clean. They actually put the cameras down and then the frame goes like wide and you're just in complete slasher territory and the mockumentary is completely over. And I thought that was really successful. And my final word, so I don't monopolize the full time, is I really think they achieved something quite interesting with his dynamic. Leslie Vernon's dynamic with his final girl is really atypical. It feels surprisingly intimate at different parts in the movies in a way that I'm not sure other slashers and their final girls have those kinds of intimacy moments.
Yeah. And I do think all of that stuff about Leslie's character is true. The problem with this movie is every other character in the movie has nowhere near the emotional resonance or importance or screen-based impact. Like there's really, it goes all the way down to the actual acting. But I mean, this movie is super duper indie, and I'm not taking any shots at indie film. I am an indie filmmaker. I love indie film. I have been a bad indie actor myself a time or two. So like it happens. Like it takes a long time to master the craft of acting, and it takes a lot of opportunities getting on set and getting on movies. But at the end of the day, like the acting in this movie is simply not the best. And there's some parts that are straight up pretty cringy and hard to watch. So that the Leslie Vernon character is really charismatic and a pretty solid dude on the screen, but like almost everybody else is not nearly up to par with his performance, and to me that makes it stand out all the more. But that's not my biggest problem with this movie. It's not even one of my major ones, really. My biggest problem with this movie is it perpetuates this idea that slashers are deeper than they are. And it's always been a pet peeve of mine. I'm not really a big slasher fan. I find them to mostly be just kind of murder porn, especially in the early 80s slashers. But there's this like mythology around them in the horror community that they are like this deep analysis of the human condition, and that like the slasher has to go through this metamorphosis, and all of this was really thought through. And it's like, no, they wanted to rip off shirts and murder teenagers, and that's what they did. And like movie after movie after movie, like it's not that deep. It's murder porn. But we like to pretend that slashers are this deeper foundational piece of the genre, and frankly to me they are the biggest problem with the horror genre. They are the reason that people think they don't like horror, because they think it's all body horror and slashers. They think it's just those things, and I'm always, as a horror writer, having to explain to people Like, no, horror can be this, it can be this, it can be this, it can be a million psychological things. It can be rooted in mental health. It can be rooted in emotional exploration. It can be rooted in adventure. It doesn't have, and I'm just a big fan of the supernatural horror too, over any like human-based horror, generally speaking, because I do think that paranormal horror has a much stronger ability to personify the things about humanity that we don't like to talk about in a way that only horror can. And I think the slasher genre is just a little more base, and I'm just not a fan of it, to be completely honest, for all those reasons and many more. So this movie, it's like more of a comedy than a horror in the first place, which is great. Like, I think it's a successful comedy. It's not necessarily a successful horror film. And there's a big difference between a satire and a spoof to me. I think a satire is something that is self-aware enough while living within the genre that it can really effectively criticize it while also still living up to the expectations of that genre, whereas a spoof is just sort of like a clown costume version. And I think this movie is almost a satire, but it just doesn't quite get to the other side of that line for me, and it kind of lands in the zone of spoof. So it's not quite Cabin. I think those are great examples you brought up of satires that are really effective. Scream and Cabin in the Woods, two of my favorite satires, period. But this movie just doesn't quite measure up to those, and there's a reason it has been forgotten and lives on YouTube, and that those two are kind of acclaimed in the horror genre.
Wow, there's just so many fighting words in there. I'm not even sure where to start. So this is where I'm also discovering, Clay, I feel personally betrayed. So you're not somebody who gets slashers. That's fine. Everyone's entitled to their own preference. But I think you definitely
don't get
take
them. You're one of those people.
You don't get some slashers. Well, first off, I would say murder porn to me is like Saw 3 and above. It's like the shit that you saw so much of coming out of like New Zealand in the 2000s. Like,
Sure.
Somebody got locked in a basement, is being tortured because he didn't want to go to prom with this chick. 2 hours torture, hostile style torture. That's murder porn to me. I'm not arguing that all
I
slashers...
just rewatched Camp Crystal Lake. Like, are we gonna pretend it's that much deeper than Saw? Like, even Saw 1 is deeper than Camp Crystal Lake or Halloween, for that matter.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get too in the weeds here because I have really strong feelings on all of those movies, so I'm kind of scared to go down. I'm like, the first Saw movie to me is a procedural. It's not torture porn in really any way. And like the way that it plays out, it's like you're spending so much time with the police. It's more of an investigation-based horror, and the second one is that, but more. It's where they really start switching out those characters and getting bigger and bigger and pushing the envelope that I think it really goes to hell in a handbasket. But I got no beef with the first Saw. Come at me, bro. And then, I'm not arguing that Camp Crystal Lake is a product of its time. It's not the most sophisticated, although I will say that the ultimate reveal that this movie is actually anchored by Jason's mother, I think does add up a sense of poignancy to that film that many slashers don't have. All movies are not created equal. Of course, all slashes are not created equal. I think there is something to be said for a movie that's just fun to watch just with your friends and have popcorn. And there is something to be said for like a lot of the prestige that we see coming in the horror genre now. But let's not forget, you can't get something like Cabin in the Woods unless you have something like Leslie Vernon first. Like, all of these movies kind of help push the envelope. If you are a fan of like movies that are more self-aware, that are that kind of meta critique, which many slashers are, it's a unique subgenre where they're doing the tropes and they're relying on the fact that the audience is very familiar with these tropes to take shortcuts in terms of how they might subvert those expectations. And depending on which characters, what kind of casting you're doing, the role of these characters takes on tremendous importance depending on where they are in the trope and like how that looks. And so, not all of them are full dripping with depth, although again, the same can be said for literally any other subgenre of horror. But I mean, the fact that some people are too myopic to understand the appeal, I think that's like a personal problem. I don't think that's Leslie Vernon's fault.
I gotta cut you off, Nina. I gotta cut you off. I loved it though. I could have let you. I could have just listened to that.
That was beautiful.
Plasters the whole time.
So good.
That was fantastic. That concludes our debate, people. We will hear what their actual opinions are soon, but before we do that, we have some trivia for you, and we
Drink of the week.
analyze whether. Oh, drink of the week first. Thanks, Clay. See, sometimes Jeremy is right, and I don't know how to do my job, but not last time. I was on it. All right. I will start. I might as well because I'm already going off here.
Sure.
My drink of the week is
Peaver.
Hell.
Oh, look at that thing.
Because I just thought that was a really, really fun title for a slasher film or a slasher spoof done by the Benedictineers. So it's one of the Abbey beers, which I always appreciate as a Catholic. But yeah, Hell. I'm drinking Hell, and it's delicious.
All right.
So
I've always heard it was delicious, but I'm never sure.
Jeremy.
Hey.
Hey.
Well, hi, everyone. Now, I'm not... I usually try to be pretty thematic, but right now the theme of what I'm drinking is the stuff I have on hand. So I am having a Singapore Sling just because I happened to have all the ingredients for it. But
and for those who don't know, what is
drinking for monks, because it's got this Benedictine liqueur in it.
Woo!
So that's something. But for those who don't know, Singapore Sling, it's gin, cherry liqueur, Benedictine, lime juice, and bitters with some sparkling water. Shake it up, have a great time.
Oh yeah.
Clay?
It's not the infinity bottle. You always get a nice teaser of whether Jeremy likes something over whether he when he does not choose the infinity bottle. So that's good. I like Jeremy. I'm at my family lake house, so I'm drinking what I got. And today that is this stuff because Travis doesn't like rye. So I'm trying to clean it out for him.
I appreciate it.
Mixtures and I'm drinking it with a Waterloo blackberry lemon.
Nice.
It just, there
mixes
pretty nice with a rye because I'm not the biggest rye fan either. But if you water it down enough with blackberry lemon essence, then it's not too bad.
Nice. Neena, did you bring a drink to the show?
I did. Also, whatever's in the house because I'm not leaving a lot these days. What with the deadline? So right now I'm drinking a non-alcoholic cider. It's like a cherry one.
Nice.
I just discovered that non-alcoholic ciders have actually gotten pretty good while I was doing all other kinds of drinking. And so now I'm on kind of a tour, to test them out.
Nice.
And I'm like, wow, this doesn't taste like garbage anymore. That's amazing. We've come so far.
NAs are having their day. NAs are having their day for sure.
I'm also drinking an athletic with my alcohol. Just because sometimes I want the taste of beer on this show. This show makes me crave beer, kind of like football.
It's Pavlovian at this point.
Yeah. So, Athletic, sponsor us. Just do it already. We drink Athletic all the time on this motherfucker.
Nobody will be surprised that my backup beer for when I finish Hell is a Pabst Light.
Yes.
Pabst, the amount I sponsor you, you should sponsor us.
Yeah,
Pabst.
Come on.
Pabst.
Come on,
I just think
PBR. We're not above it.
y'all watch South Park?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Pabst Blue Ribbon episode? I'm white trash and I'm in trouble. I have to say, the mustache is not helping that particular case.
It isn't. No.
There's no case. I'm not trying to help any case. I'm okay with
the
this.
Pabst Blue Ribbon plus the mustache. It's getting egregious.
Look,
I'm okay with it.
It's
I'm
even worse that it's Pabst Light.
Oh,
That is
worse. Like, you're not doing any favors for anybody.
This is the white trash that's like, you know what? I gotta keep my figure intact. All right.
Yeah. You've got
it's about to be lawn mowing season.
Yeah, I gotta be
you're
looking
recycling in that trailer park.
No,
you're organizing your bins for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I want this farmer's tan to look as good as it possibly can. Okay, that's what I want.
Travis, to follow up, to just cap that off with another South Park quote: "It's your hot body. You can do what you want."
With that, we are going to get into some trivia, which this one was pretty easy because there's not too many facts on the IMDb page, and pretty much all of them are just Easter eggs. So if anyone has any like actually fascinating things about the production that I did not find, please jump in at the end, because most of what I'm going to be talking about are Easter eggs, because there's a lot of them in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of, at the beginning, Taylor's standing in front of the Red Rabbit pub, which is a reference to the Red Rabbit matchbook found by Dr. Loomis in Halloween. The first time Taylor interviews Eugene and his wife, a Lament configuration puzzle box from Hellraiser is seen sitting on the table. Speaking of things sitting on the table, I think this is my favorite of the facts. When explaining the plot of the slasher in the library, Leslie is standing behind a textbook that is just titled Combustion, which is a foreshadowing moment for how he's going to die. Which, well, he does die. Spoiler. But how he's going. Another fun Easter egg. Leslie first shows the crew his home. He introduces his 2 pet turtles as Church and Zoe, which are the names of the resurrected pets from Pet Sematary, Church being the cat from the first movie, and Zoe the dog from Pet Sematary 2, which I never watched and will never watch because no.
Sure.
What if we do the
when Leslie is oh well, then I'll have to.
Yes. That's how we get them.
Yep, that's the way to get us to watch anything. This was Zelda Rubinstein's last movie. There's a fun Nightmare on Elm Street one here. Oh, another one. Several character names are references to classic horror films. For instance, Doc Halloran is a mashup of Danny Torrance's nickname Doc and Dick Halloran from the same movie. And Jamie is a reference to Jamie Lee Curtis, the final girl in a lot of slasher movies, which is going to be a question later of final girls. We need to talk about them for sure. Doc Halloran's wardrobe is nearly identical to that of Donald Pleasance's in the Halloween film franchise. Leslie's real surname is exposed to be Mancuso. The producer of most of the Friday the 13th movies is Frank Mancuso Jr., so they gave another little nod. And the final one I'll say here, and please jump in if I missed any, is there are 2 connections to Black Christmas. Although never stated directly, it was intended that Eugene is an older Billy from Black Christmas, the 1974 film. When Leslie's real last name is revealed to be Mancuso, this could be a nod to Nick Mancuso, the uncredited actor who portrayed Billy in the original 1974 Black Christmas. So, is The Rise of Leslie Vernon technically a sequel? We don't know. That's my facts. Anybody got any that I missed?
I got one. Speaking of sequels, as of April 2026, they are again working on the sequel. So, this movie was out like 20 years ago when it first dropped, and there was briefly a campaign to do a sequel shortly after it kind of gained a bit of notoriety. And I don't know what happened with that, but it kind of just fizzled, and
it
the
was
sequel
very
never
successful.
happened.
Kickstarter campaign. They raised like $400,000, but like you say, it never happened for some reason.
But it still never happened. Yeah. And I don't know if that was like licensing stuff and I don't know if they like lost their distribution deal or what, because they used to be on more platforms and now there's just a free one on YouTube, because I think they want to, make sure people still see the film. You really should go see it if you haven't and support them however that we can, because getting the sequel would be badass. But yes, as of an interview in Scream magazine just last April, so very recently, the filmmaker Scott Glosserman said that he is officially working on the second movie and that it's going to get made whether he gets a deal to help him out with it or not. So you can cross your fingers and hope that that is indeed going to happen. But Scott Glosserman at least is back at the helm and trying to make The Rise of Leslie Vernon 2.
The return of Leslie Vernon.
Return.
No, he's still rising.
It's like a little bit of a fun fact. So, this last Crypticon was my very first one. It was a blast. The anthology was so great. So, Clay, I don't know if you remember, we were like having a chat and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go check out what's in this ballroom. And then I came running back later and I'm like, he's here. Leslie Vernon's here. Look, he signed this for me.
Oh shit.
Have I contributed to the Kickstarter? Yes.
Hell yeah.
When he was signing, when he was signing my posters and whatnot, because Leslie Vernon fangirl spoiler for me, I did ask some questions plot wise about what directions they're thinking for the sequel.
Nice.
And there's actually, this movie was quite survivable. They have like 3 survivors at the end, including the Virgin. That's 2 more people than you expect to live in a movie like this. And so he spoke. He didn't tell me all the goods, but we had a great conversation around what does the future look like for those surviving characters, and what does Leslie Vernon entering his next slasher killer phase, like what does growth look like for a guy like that? And I want to tell y'all all the secrets, but I can't break Leslie Vernon's trust in me. You understand?
That's okay.
Can't do it.
Wouldn't want to risk that.
But Britt, that is still breaking news that Neena has confirmed what I found and what Scream Magazine dug up in the first place. That's 3 sources now. So that's good. That's as good as true. It's fucking gonna happen. Let's go.
Another one I missed is it's pretty hard to miss Robert Englund is in this movie as Doc Halloran. He was Freddy Krueger, as all horror fans know, but also Kane Hodder is in this film. He's the guy at Elm Street House, and Kane Hodder was Jason Voorhees. Well, in the first couple films, I think first 3, Kane Hodder was Jason, and then maybe he was like, "We need to stop making those." Who knows?
Entirely possible.
But anyway. That's the other one. Any other fun facts before I talk about whether or not this movie was a success?
Nay, Butters.
Okay. Once again, when we say success, we mean financial success. Was this movie a success in becoming a cult classic? Yes. I know a lot of people who love this movie, bought the DVD, still look for it on streaming, are quite sad that it's not on Amazon anymore, and have watched the YouTube. There are fans of this movie. So was it successful in reaching the hearts of many a horror fan? 100%. Was it financially successful? No, not even close. It was real bad. It was real bad, which is sad. Oof. I'm sure it made quite a bit in DVD sales because it was a cult classic, but it had rumored to be a $250,000 budget, which is a very small budget. It made $69,000. In sales in the theater, in the box office. So It was not a financial success in the box office, but it has become definitely a cult classic that is talked about in the same conversation as lots of classic slashers and cult classics like Hatchet, My Bloody Valentine. All those.
Shout out Jensen Ackles.
Yeah. So,
And the fact that it was able to raise $400K on Kickstarter is pretty badass. Like that's awesome for a movie this underground, and that goes to show the cult following that it has. I haven't met anybody who's seen this movie that didn't like it.
I'm pretty sure this one was like if I remember right, I watched it when I was in like high school, I think it was a Walmart bin buy.
Oh,
and I just
that sounds like the place you'd find it. Yeah.
I picked it out and I was like, this looks interesting. And it was like $5. So I was like, sure, I'll buy it and see if I like it. And if I don't, I'll throw it away. And I put it in and was like, this is amazing.
Yes,
definitely.
I kind of want it to come packaged in the Walmart bin, but like, how they have like the 2-for-1 where it's like 2 DVDs.
Yeah, totally.
I want it. It's like Leslie Vernon and Training Day for some reason. Like, okay, all right.
They're just packaging Training Day with everything in that motherfucker.
If you thrust your arm into a Walmart bin, you have like a 60% chance of pulling out a Training Day.
You're touching 2 to 4 Training Days
on the
way, for sure.
It's like the green gumballs. Like Nobody wants that fucking green gumball, but like they're in there. All right. And that's just
most of the colors just taste like gum, but the green tastes wrong.
there's some vile about that green. That's cosmic horror right there. Whatever's in that green gumball.
You were hoping for some indie horror? Yeah, you got Training Day.
Sorry about it. The odds were not in your favor.
Which is a great movie.
I mean, great adjective. I would. It's a pretty good movie, but it is all up in the Walmart bin. So this is a good transition into my actual opinion, which I'm really excited to get to. So because similarly, Deanna, my wife, does not like slashers at all, and she started to. So I turned this movie on, and a lot of the time when I'm watching a movie for the show, especially a horror movie, Deanna will kind of like feel it out and then she'll leave. Sometimes she watches them with me and sometimes not so much. This one, she watched that opening scene and she was like, no, I'm not watching this. I don't like these kind of movies. And I was like, okay, see ya. And she walked out and I got like halfway through it. And then I had to, I like fell asleep because it was really late at night and I had to rewatch it the next day, but I was enjoying it. I was excited to go back and rewatch it. Next day, as we were watching it, totally different scene. It was actually the boxing bag scene, the punching bag scene. And Deanna walks in and she's like, what is this? And I was like, it's the same movie. You walked out all like, I'm not watching this yesterday. And she was like, well, this looks kind of funny. And I was like, it's awesome. I was telling you, it's awesome. And she was like, okay, well, I guess I'll watch it. Are you okay with starting it over? I was like, absolutely. So I started it over and then she watched the whole thing with me. And now it's probably in both of our favorite movies, like top 20 for sure. Like I fucking love this movie and I'm so bummed out that I rolled low. I knew what I was going to say because it's not untrue that I'm not the biggest fan of the slasher genre. I do think the depth of the slasher genre is somewhat overblown. And is sometimes a bit of an excuse to like pretend that it's deeper than it is. I do believe that to some extent. No, not nearly to the extent that I pretended. I just had to do that. Sorry about it, slashers. I don't hate you all as much as I pretended. I really don't. It's simply like a subjective thing. It's not really my subgenre. Just as Neena before the show, we were talking about cosmic horror not being yours. Slashers is not necessarily mine. That said, I've watched a lot of the classics and I do really like a lot of them. Like I love Scream. And I can forgive a lot in a satire of the same things. I also do like the Elm Street ones. I think those are actually a lot more genuinely scary, especially like the first couple Nightmares. Because when those first came out, I don't think there was many movies like that out there. And so I got a lot of respect for Freddy Krueger and the Nightmare series. I also really like Scream. And I loved this movie because found footage, mockumentaries, all that stuff is always directly up my alley. But my favorite genre crossover is comedy and horror if it can be pulled off correctly. And it's so hard to do. Like I can't personally do it. I've tried and I still haven't managed to pull it off. I know I will one day. I'm going to keep trying. But like one of my favorite movies of all time is Cabin in the Woods. You will know this if you've watched this show ever before, because I talk about it every other episode. But I absolutely love that movie. I love Scream, and I love this movie for the same reason. I love nothing. I don't love anything else that's comedy, horror, or contemporary at all, because we still got to do that episode someday. But lots of things, lots of comedy horrors out there that are really, really good. But this movie is fantastic. It walks the line great. And my favorite thing in the world is when something can be genuinely hilarious and then the next second be genuinely terrifying. It's so hard to do. And the scene that lives like rent free in my head from this movie now is that scene when the cameraman is inside the van and she's like asking Leslie some question that he doesn't like. I don't remember exactly what about. And he shoves her against the van and he's like, enough. And I was like, holy shit, that was scary. Like
Mhm.
the like actor does a great job there. And it's awesome in this movie, especially because the whole movie we're talking about, this guy's gonna fucking kill people. Like that's what he's planning to do. But nothing about his behavior or his mannerisms or who he is as a person makes you think he's actually like gonna do it. He seems like a totally regular dude. He seems very likable. He's very charismatic. He just sounds like more of a theorist, almost like a writer talking about slashers. You know, it's if you're a writer and you watch this movie, like you're gonna see yourself in it. If you're a horror writer, like we all analyze horror on this like meta level that I think often is deeper than the writers maybe even intended, but it doesn't matter because that's how news stories get created. They look at the stories of old, and regardless of how deeply they were written, they'll be interpreted deeper. And I think that just continues to kind of snowball down. And the slasher genre is a great example of that. And Leslie Vernon, this movie does that all the way through, where because we're having this meta discussion and we're having all these like theoretical talks about what it means to set up this mass murder situation, we forget that at the end of the day, what actually is going to fucking happen is a bunch of teenagers are going to get murdered. Like innocent young people whose only crime is being a bit dumb. Which, like, frankly, most innocent young people are. Like, we're all a bit dumb at that age. We're all a bit, like, hormonally charged. And especially if you're partying, like, you're vulnerable. You know, you're vulnerable and you're naive, and getting caught in a situation where you're being basically shepherded into your death by a trained killer is extremely terrifying. And we don't even see the horror until it's too late. And that's kind of how like good horror always works. But this movie manages to keep it funny all the way up until that point, which is really pretty awesome. And I loved your point, Neena, about how well this movie tells us exactly what's going to happen and then still surprises us with it somehow, or like maybe not surprises us. Well, I think it does. Like the final girl thing, it wasn't super shocking, but like you could kind of see it coming. But like if you haven't watched a million horror movies, that could have been a pretty big surprise. Again, like satires rely on tropes. So if you kind of know the tropes, then you kind of know most of the movie. Like, okay, the real final girl is obviously our documentarian, but you also see, like you said, that intimate relationship, and that's very unique. Like usually a final girl in a slasher relationship is a distant one. It usually is coming from a place of like envy, jealousy, rage, pent up sexual tension, stuff like that. And you'll see that's a product of a lot of real serial killer psychology, as we've seen in studies of like people who serial kill women. Like they, you know, that like systems of abuse or those systems of isolation and whatever, like fuck them up throughout their lives always comes out in those psychological analysis. And a lot of slasher mentality is built around that same thing from a storytelling perspective. So I think that hopefully this is all not just too rambly. I've been going for like 10 minutes straight. Anyway, I love this movie. It's fucking awesome and you should go watch it. And I'm sorry to everybody that I pretended that this movie sucked, because I was a lying sack of shit.
Neena, were you lying?
No, I really like this movie. It's just fun. It's just a good time. It's a good time solo. It's a good time in a group. You could have it on like at one of those weird parties in someone's basement where it's just like on and somebody else is talking. You're not gonna like hit them. Like if Midsummer's on, you're like, you gotta shut up. You gotta shut it.
Stop talking.
But Leslie,
you
Vernon
know
is
though,
good...
I'm not to interrupt, Neena, but I love that analogy because you know there's going to be like two people at that party that are actually watching Leslie Vernon and are just having the best time of their life.
It's just good, clean fun for the whole family. Leslie Vernon is how I feel. And yeah, I mean, I agree with you a lot, Clay. I mean, I do think that there's something, I'm really interested in the dynamics between people, like the interpersonal dynamics. I think that's what makes anything really horrifying in like a terror-based scenario. What are we doing to each other? How do we fail to support each other? How are we harming each other and why? And there are many slasher movies where, slasher killer is just sort of like an apex predator. It's like a shark or like a grizzly bear. You don't even need to do anything. You just went for a walk in the wrong location. You booked the wrong Airbnb, and it's like, well, now you have to deal with that fucking guy, really for no reason, so much of the movie in this, it's like, because Leslie Vernon as a character, he's so emotional, he's so erratic, and his energy is just hard to keep up with. I feel like, even upon multiple rewatchings, each time I watch it, I'm still like, what is happening between him and this girl? Just like trying to figure out what is like underpinning here. It's tender sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, are they gonna like but then it's not quite romantic. On the other hand, it feels like there's a certain respect level, to the way that he reeled her in, but like he doesn't, he doesn't manipulate her. I mean, of course, everyone's manipulated in terms of his overall goal, but he really plays it very direct with her. And, upon rewatching, he's telling her very early in the movie, like the initial scenes, he's like, listen, you're either going to get this or you're not going to get this. The choice is really up to you of if you will choose to like develop this understanding, and I can't make you do that. And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, okay. So will she choose to, like all final girls, evolve? Did you evolve to that final form? But yeah, each time I watch it, I'm still like, there's just such an underpinning here that I'm still trying to parse out all the time. And that is just so atypical for the kinds of relationships that people tend to have with these final girls. Like I said, I do like that he really gives her such a clear choice. Like she becomes aware, that he's not who he says he is. She becomes aware, of course, that he is building this mythos for himself. She knows like all of these things and feels that sense of betrayal. They have a fight. But the scene where like she returns to him and they're just like laying down and she's like, well, I'm just going to like finish what I started here. There's really no illusions between them, but it still hits her like a truck viscerally when she sees what's actually going down. When I was thinking about things that might not be great in this movie, in case I had to take that position, I was like, well, maybe Taylor Gentry as a final girl is a little bit more confused than Leslie Vernon, only in that like she's in a tough spot. Like so much of the movie, she's like advocating for these values, she's like trying to be this like humanitarian voice, but it feels really like she's a hypocrite because she still has bills to pay. She doesn't pack up the film crew until very late in the game. Right. And so it kind of feels like I kind of almost wondered, like, should she have been more of like a morally gray character who's like, killing's bad, but I'm ambitious? Because she is ambitious, she's like ambitious and like kind of cares, but doesn't care enough to like actively warn or like really get involved. She's very tentative. So I'm not still even sure if like this could still be a stroke of genius of like, she's probably closer to how like a real person is. Nobody is ever all one thing, right? She's complicated, I think, actually. And in those moments, I don't know, I like when women are allowed to be even kind of unlikable, right? She's like, this is fucked up, but this is a huge opportunity. Of course, I want to cover the rise of the next Mike Myers,
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And I wish I would have thought of that for my debate, but I was struggling beyond my initial points of what to hate on with this movie because I just really, really like it.
I really like it too, but I did come up with some things. Can I tell y'all one?
Yeah, tell us whatever you would have said. That'd be
I'm
great.
sort of wondering, like,
absolutely,
the role of like sexy sex and gender in slashers is like, a very, very integrated with the trope. I don't know that Leslie Vernon succeeds. Like, I understand they are like centering it to also like poke fun at this idea, but I feel like they kind of almost fall into the exact same trap that all the movies that are doing this shit on purpose are doing, like unironically are doing. Like there's a line in the movie where he's like, it's, gratuitous. She says it's gratuitous, the titties and all these other things. And he's like, well, we have to respect it, basically, and I'm like, well, it doesn't make it less gratuitous just because you're acknowledging that it's gratuitous. It still is, like, the whole time. Or the expectations that Leslie Vernon has for the women around him I'm like, wow, what an exhausting killer. In a certain way, it's like Michael Myers would be so much easier to handle. Because say what you will about him, he would never go up to Laurie Strode and be like, I need you to empower yourself with cock, which is a line that Leslie Vernon actually says, right? There are like these other expectations, you know, before you have the pleasure of getting killed by him, where I'm like, as a woman, I'm exhausted. I'm already exhausted in society. Don't make me have to work that hard for my own death or survival. Okay? Let's take it down a notch. And those thoughts on gender and sex also kind of recast the light of like the backstory that he creates to himself. This is the part where when I rewatched it, I was like, what is happening here? Because he can create any kind of tragic made up backstory for himself that he wants. And the one he comes up with is like, you know, his mother is like raped by a vagabond, and Leslie Vernon is like a little long in the tooth movie wise, like dating wise, but I don't think there's really any time in history where I enjoy like sexual trauma as a woman just being kind of shoehorned in just because like, well, there's a bad thing we can think of for women, you know, that's just a thing. And then in that same breath, he's like, and also my mother, she was standoffish and, you know, she kept to herself in the town. And I'm like, okay, so now it kind of feels like you're saying she was like assaulted, but she was also kind of a bitch. So it's okay, maybe, because she was standoffish and she kept to herself.
How dare she?
Yeah. And I just want to do one final shout out. Probably my favorite side character is actually the librarian. I think the librarian crushes in that movie.
Absolutely.
Even being told, you know, the lines she's going to get when you still get there and she's like, it's just a story, dear. You're like, hell yeah. I love it.
You're about to find out, lady.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jeremy?
Well said, Dina. Well said.
Hey, everyone. So, like, yeah, I think you guys are basically right. I think this is mostly a really great movie. Like, there's so many great comedic moments. The twist of events that leads up to actually putting down the camera and just being there in the situation, which is very famously my problem with found footage when it comes to horror. It's like, you shouldn't be filming this anymore. And right when I start saying that in this movie, they stop. They just straight up quit it. And I'm like, okay, points to you. And like, I think it's definitely underrated. I think it's a shame that the only place you can stream this is on YouTube from a bootleg upload at 480p with Portuguese subtitles.
It's straight up criminal that is the case.
It's temporary, hopefully. I was like, I have rented this movie many times.
Exactly. I think where it falls apart for me is just in that whole third act, where things really just start ramping up to the climax and everything. Because like, as much as I think like, oh, this is great, and Leslie Vernon has that wonderful mix of obsessive fixation on murder and just like being a straight up Dalmatian of a man, where that just kind of reminds me of, he's great. He's so fun to watch throughout the whole thing. But like, he spends all this time like laying out exactly what's gonna happen to Taylor and everybody else, and like Taylor and the camera crew, knowing full well there's a killer around and that he's meticulously planned out how to isolate and kill everyone, they just still split up and follow the exact path that he's laid out for them. Like, there are exactly two ways to thwart Leslie's plan, and both of them are brought up earlier in the movie. One is just pick a spot on the horizon with a clear path and run. You just go. And what I think is the better plan is, stay put until he shows up, group up, and hit him till he dies. And they don't do that. He says,
Leslie Vernon, he is a guy you feel like you can take, you know?
Yeah,
he is
he's not Michael Myers.
Well, like, even if he is Michael Myers, he is still like a full living guy. And he even says, like, when he's showing, like, yes, I've weakened these tree limbs, I've sabotaged all these weapons and stuff. And they're like, isn't that a little unfair? Like, I'm one guy and there's like 6 of them. There's like, sure, I do lots of cardio, but if it's 6 on 1, I'm dead, which is how fights go.
They have those young
Travis,
people.
is that how fights go?
That is 100% how some of the best fighters I know of. One of the best wrestlers I ever wrestled with got jumped by 9 guys. He beat 3 of them, but the other 6, it didn't go his
that's
way.
a lot. That's a lot of fellas.
That's a lot of fellas.
That's a lot of fellas, But like, I don't think it takes away too much from what the movie is and what it's trying to be, and it does that whole winking at the audience type thing for the entire final third of the movie, which is fine. But just because you pointed out how it's a little silly doesn't mean that you get to just do that. Like, Taylor should be smart enough by that point in the movie, knowing that, like Leslie said, like, the obvious weapons have all been sabotaged. She still grabs an axe that is guaranteed to break after one swing.
True.
And she just does that. She knows better, and she does it anyway. But, I don't know. I think the movie is often as clever as it thinks it is. And it's just a really fun watch. And yeah, I think that's really it. It's fun. It's a fun time.
I think my opinion... Oh, go ahead, Neena.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I really like the point that you brought up, Jeremy. You really do think that for characters that have so much insight and information as to the way that Leslie thinks and the way he solves problems and what his whole plan is, you would think that they would bring a little bit more heat to that climax, and they're just still so confused and conflicted and indecisive about what to do when they have like a whole manual to this guy that almost no victim in this situation gets.
Yeah, he's doing things like a little different than he said to throw them off, but he's still doing the exact thing he said. Like, they still watched him saw tree branches and like nail shut all the windows and whatever. Mm-hmm. They know what's supposed to happen.
I think I'm going to branch off that for my opinion of this film, because I'm going to play a little cheerleader for it. I think, like Clayton and Neena both said, like, a lot of times slashers have a depth to them, or you add the depth or whatever. But I think part of the depth of this movie, a theme I really drew from it, is like kind of split in two. And it's, yes, you can have all the red flags in front of you and still do the stupid thing. And we do it all the time. And like, I think that's big with the Taylor-Leslie relationship, because there's a part of her that, like, I thought was embodying this whole age-old idea of like, I can fix him kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm going to ignore all of these warning signs because I actually do really think there's a good person there, and I'm the one that can bring it out, even though the person that you're talking about is just straight up telling you, like, I'm a piece of crap. like you can't fix me. And I think there was a thing there, a lot being said there with like that dynamic that I really loved, of like, Leslie is just straight up telling these people he's a serial killer. But I think a lot of people would fall into the trap that they do of being like, no, you're not. Serial killers don't just tell us they're serial killers. Like, you're not, come on. Like, we're going to end with a comedy with this documentary. And then when it actually happens, they're like, oh shit, we could have like saved these 6 teenagers. And I think it kind of points the finger back at the audience of like, question whether you would. Because I think in a lot of those scenarios, when people tell us, terrible things they maybe plan to do, have done, have thought, we don't want to acknowledge the possibility that they have or will, because we want to believe like, that's not real. Like, no, you're not that. And I think the other half to that with the theme is kind of what you've pointed out, Jeremy, of there's a lot of scenarios. And again, I probably do too many fighting analogies on the show, but that's a good portion of my life is training fighters. like that happens all the time in fighting, of like, you can know literally everything theoretically, but when the shit hits the fan, you do all the wrong stuff. It's like an age-old historical quote for war of like, plan only survives first contact with the enemy. And it's because we get into the ring, and this happened to me. I've boxed one time. I've wrestled my whole life. I've boxed one time. And I thought I'd fought since I was 5 years old. So I was like, I got this. And all my boxing coaches were like, yep, you're gonna adrenaline dump as soon as you get hit the first time. And I was like, oh, whatever, I've been in the ring before. Oh yeah, you're gonna do this and this and this. I'm like, okay, whatever. First time I got punched in the face, all of it happened. Like I could not prepare for it. So I think there's a thing there with the reality of these crazy events that happen in our life. I think this movie's speaking a lot to that, of you can't plan for all of that. It's just going to happen, and you're going to react as humans react. And hopefully that reaction preserves you in some way, whether that's like a life or death situation or just a normal life situation. So I think that's what I really found beautiful and deep about this movie. And then on top of all of that, it's just hilarious.
It is hilarious.
It's just a hilarious movie.
Yeah.
And you as an audience member almost want, I don't know how y'all felt, but 3/4 of the movie, I was like, is this just going to be nothing? Like, is this just going to be a farce? And he's just going to, nope. He's actually, yep, he's a killer. Okay. So there was like a level of that where, like you said, Clay, and like you said, Nina, of like, they show you everything, but somehow still surprise you with it. And I think that's the beauty of the comedy behind those deep themes that I thought were there.
This is my night.
Yeah.
He's like so
really big
upset
night
that they're
for
like
him.
not gonna go on with it. He's like, come on. This is my night. I worked my ass off for this. So funny.
I love that point, Travis, where you're like, I feel like Oprah said something similar, right? Of like, when someone tells you who they are, shows you who they are, believe them. And as a Black woman, I'm also contractually obligated to be agreeable with Oprah on this particular issue, And Travis, you're not even from that community, but you're speaking the truth. You're dropping some bombs here.
Hey, listen, it's the Pabst.
Okay.
That's
Today
what
we
it
learned
is.
maybe
It's
our
in the-
communities aren't as divided as we thought,
Yep.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
That's a truth in the farm community too. Is like, if somebody tells you they're going to screw you over, just take their word for it.
You should
Probably will.
They probably will screw you over.
They probably will.
I love it.
That's great. You know what else I love? Relief. And on the off chance that anybody needs biological relief at this very moment, or maybe even just a refill on your Pabst Light or whatever drink equivalent you have if you're not a psychopath like Travis.
Travis, you are like the least trashy white trash I've ever seen.
Hell yeah, brother.
Pabst is the
Let's
shit.
take 5 minutes to do whatever we got to do in all of those respects. We'll be back on the other side with a panel discussion, loosely tied or maybe heavily tied to Leslie Vernon. We'll just see how it goes. Everybody, please turn off your cameras and microphones. That'll take you off the screen. We'll see y'all on the other side.
Hello, folks. This is Travis back
Hi,
a little
everyone.
early and with Jeremy. And we just wanted to tell you should like, comment, and subscribe. Also,
Absolutely do all that.
go to Substack.
Do it.
Look up Fermented Fiction
Yeah.
as well as Meathead Media. And those are our
Yeah.
two Fermented Fiction umbrellas. You should follow those. And, if you can afford it, maybe get a paid subscription.
Maybe do it.
Articles, invites to the Discord, all that fun jazz. We do this stuff for free, but we would love to also get paid.
We would.
Yeah.
And you can't
Have you
stop
ever-
us.
And have you ever truly considered that having all that extra stuff would be absolutely sick?
Yeah.
Like it would rip.
It would.
It would
rips.
slap.
If
It would
you
stank.
If you don't pay for the subscription, you only get half of the recent Odyssey review me and my friend Zeb did. Zeb is our social media manager. You only
Yeah.
get to see half of it.
That's
you want
not
to see
enough.
the whole thing, right? Subscribe.
Just fucking do it. Right now, you're drinking the Pabst Light of Fermented Fiction, but you could be drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah,
That's good for
spring
you.
for the whole blue ribbon.
Yeah, it won an award, people. It won an
Come on now.
award.
Come on, guys.
It has won more awards than this show.
Yeah,
That's true.
exactly one.
So
Back in
listen.
the 1800s, but whatever.
This fantastic award aware of show has not yet reached the heights of Pabst Blue
That's
Ribbon.
very true. We are award aware of. Someone who's been nominated for an award, unlike this show, is Neena. Welcome
Yeah.
back from your 5-minute
Yeah.
I'm
break.
here.
Thank you for being here again. And this is the panel/questionnaire side of the show.
Indeed.
And I think in Leslie Vernon fashion, we have to keep these questions pretty fun and pretty slasher oriented, right? So
Agreed.
my first one for you is what is your favorite slasher setting and why? And maybe name a movie that uses that setting to great effect. Neena, first to you.
My absolute favorite slasher setting.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just watched Hatchet for the first time not too long ago, and that was the movie that made me think, I understand why some people fucking hate slashers. This movie,
Sure.
this guy, but the setting of it I thought was so interesting. I partially grew up in like the Deep South. I loved the idea of like, I think it's set, is it like the French Quarter? They go on like a weird pontoon boat, like swamp tour. I've done those tours, you're looking at like some guy named Bebop is like pointing out alligators to you. I loved the setting, hated the character, the killer himself, and pretty much everything that happened in that setting. But I did really love the setting, and I wish there was more horror in that kind of setting.
All right.
I think I found Hatchet in a Walmart bin as well. It's right next to Leslie Vernon somewhere in a box gathering dust, but I'll have to
Bundled
dig
with
those out.
Training Day.
Bundled with Training Day. Jeremy, what is your favorite slasher setting and why?
Now,
And
the
what's a
thing is-
movie that you know in it?
The thing is, and maybe it's because I don't get into too many slashers unless I get the direct recommendation from somebody, but like I haven't seen a slasher setting that's like, ooh, that blows me away. That's super creative, because like it usually, for the ones that I've seen, even the good ones like Leslie Vernon, it ends up like on a farm or in the woods or at somebody's house party slightly out of town type thing. And you can make a good movie, but the settings just have not been memorable. Like you could have a slasher in like an abandoned weapon, like nuclear silo or whatever. That'd be interesting, neat. I don't know, but I haven't seen it.
Okay,
Slasher
but
on a submarine? Why not?
I wanna challenge you though. I didn't say which one's the most memorable because I agree with you. All of the, like, you're getting high school, you're getting house party, you're getting
Mhm.
lake, or you're getting farmhouse. Like that's the slasher settings. So you're right, they're not all very memorable. But what I asked was, what's your favorite? Like, where do you want to see teenagers getting murdered the most? That's the question.
I mean, ideally nowhere, Travis. My goodness.
Jeez Louise.
Come on, bud. But no, like, I think it's totally fine. The setting, because it doesn't stand out, like, it's like picking your favorite pickle from a jar of pickles.
What?
It's a pickle. Okay.
I don't know if I agree with that analogy, but okay. You're gonna
I
not
feel
answer
like
my
it'd be
question.
4
That's
different
fine.
jars of pickles.
It
like
would. It'd be
4
brand
different
of pickle.
flavors of pickle.
It'd be brand of
Okay.
pickle.
It's still just pickles.
That's
in
okay. Don't answer the
various jars of
question.
pickles.
Clay, what's your? Do you have a favorite, or are you gonna dodge it as well?
Well, I would say that Alien is a slasher. So give me that is for you, Jeremy, a
Thank you.
slasher on a submarine, but in space. Basically the same thing.
submarine.
Spaceship, submarine. They're
Jason
basically
X.
the same thing.
Jason X is also on a spaceship, so it's
Also
been done
on a
twice.
spaceship. So there's some slashers on a spaceship. It's probably been done more times than that. I mean,
Definitely.
anytime you're on a spaceship with something that's killing people, that's basically a slasher. Like it's gonna get people one by one. And but I mean, so Alien, like if we're saying favorite slasher, to me, Alien is probably my favorite slasher. But also I would say give me the Carnival, because you got the Carnival slasher is just always a rocking good time. And when you've got a carnival, you've got so many fun things to play with. You've got weapons just being juggled. You've got like all these different games. You've got the inherent terror of clowns, which can also play into a red herring situation. You've got, you know, especially back in the 80s or whatever, you had the freak show. So you got all kinds of like red herrings there as well. Usually the freak shows were not the actual bad guys, but were often the suspects, and things like that. So you've got all kinds of like things you can play with. And of course you've got to have your House of Mirrors scene.
You've got to.
The episode of Supernatural where they did clowns. That's basically like what everybody expects. But yeah, give me the circus. Give me the carnival slasher.
That's a good take. That's a good take. You guys came up with innovative ones. Nina, I love that. I didn't think of like the bayou, the swamp setting. That's very good setting.
Oh yeah.
Kill those kids on a pontoon boat. That's what I say.
Pointing out alligators.
Teach them to be on a boat.
The fact that alligators are somehow not the scariest thing around is crazy.
God, I wish they were. That movie,
Victor Crowley did not please Nina. I have to go with the classic lake camp.
Sure.
You know, the camp. Not because those are my favorite
Summer
slasher
camp.
movies. In fact, most of them suck. But I just watched The Burning. Has anyone seen The Burning from like the 80s? Terrible movie.
No.
It's a Friday the 13th remake that somehow has Jason Alexander in it, which is hilarious. But those camps, I'm always like, summer camp is not like this. No one is having this much sex at summer camp and talking
Not with
about
that
it
attitude.
so openly. I don't know if they exist somewhere, but I have never heard of a summer camp that's like the slasher summer camps. And that always just entertained me. I was like, what is this fantasy world that these movies are being made in where summer camps are just like sexcapades? Like, this is a wild place.
It's what everybody
about the like high school settings where like they're always going out. They have these glamorous parties. I'm like, was I even more uncool in high school than I already was aware that I was? And I just didn't get any of these invites. But I'm like, where are these teenagers living that this is their lifestyle? This is nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
I
you know,
had the
it's part of this growing like trope that I've started to notice in modern horror, where scary bad things really only happen to the rich. So the people who can afford to throw those really elaborate high-end parties in high school, they're gonna get stabbed for it. And thank goodness.
Yeah. I would like to see now the slasher that's just, and it probably exists somewhere, but that's like the PBR drinkers, like, how long are they lasting against Michael Myers? I don't know.
So we do have slashers in the hood. We got slashers in the projects. We just call it gang violence,
Sure.
But it's very similar mechanically.
That's very true. And I mean, like, Candyman is a slasher. I mean, that's a supernatural slasher, but it's kind of a slasher in a way. Would you push back on that, Nina? You don't think Candyman's a slasher?
I love Candyman. I love Tony Todd. Okay, I love Candyman. Candyman is so layered and complicated. I'm like, I don't even know where to even start because there's so much going on. But I do think, I love that I'm writing horror at a time when you can stretch Candyman even further. At the time at which Candyman came out, it's like when I first watched it, I loved Candyman, but I was also really disappointed of like, why is he harassing all these low-income Black people? The rich, fat, white cats who did this are like literally down the road.
Yeah, just go harass them.
Go harass them. So easy. The country club's just over there. What's going on here? Why is it only rich people getting murdered? Because it's just demoralizing to watch poor people be taken advantage of and abused in this way. Life is hard enough, Your 401k has to be this stacked for me to want to watch you get murdered, But luckily, I read though that at the time at which they made Candyman, though, it was groundbreaking enough. Like it was just shocking enough idea that this is what they could do. And and in the remake, or not the remake, but in the continuation of Candyman, they're able to kind of stretch that concept in some other ways. So progress happens, but slow, I guess. A little tiny bit.
Yeah.
Right. That's a really good point. Really good point about Candyman. Yeah.
On the opposite side of the spectrum, I just have to mention it because you mentioned slashers in the hood. This is not a deep movie. It's a terrible Ice-T trip. Okay. Next question.
Wait, what movie did you just say? You were glitching.
Oh, I was? Leprechaun 5 in the hood.
Leprechaun in the hood. To the hood to do no good.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I didn't know I was glitching, so I'm glad that you responded that way, because for a second there I just thought like no one thought that was a good addition.
Yeah, we were just like,
everyone was just like, don't talk about Leprechaun.
How you gonna bring up Leprechaun in the hood right now, Travis? This
Honestly,
is a
how
fucking
dare you?
professional
I've
podcast.
seen Leprechaun in the hood so many times. There's just not a lot of representation. You have to take what you can get, even when it's a leprechaun.
Yeah.
The leprechaun is so fucking woke for going to the hood. Good for him.
Ice-T's in the hood, man. He's in that movie. It's good.
Good for that woke ass leprechaun. He kills in the hood just like anywhere else.
Yeah.
It did take him 5 movies to get there, but he got there. Damn it.
He got there.
Like you said, progress happens real slow.
Yeah. Oh my word. Okay, I would love to ask y'all
Good job, Trav.
about. Thank you. Final girls.
Yeah.
So this is going to be kind of another rating question. Okay, 2 parts. 1, what makes a great final girl? Did the rise of Leslie Vernon pull it off? And 2, who's your favorite final girl and why?
Yeah, we all start with you, Nina.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. What makes a great final girl? I think a final girl, you have to factor in the growth arc that she's going to have. So she can be vulnerable. She can be clueless. She can be, out of touch with what her friends are actually doing. She can be a lot of things at the beginning, but she does have to grow throughout the course of the movie. I think the best final girls really represent kind of an element of horror that I really dig, which is, as you know, there are some horror scenarios where you were never going to survive and it's like impossible for you to survive. The final girls represent the horror where you have a fighting chance. It's just, this girl's in an extremely difficult situation, but if she wises up, if she really digs deep, she has a tiny sliver of a chance of turning the tables here. Also kind of charting along with, thematically, what does this mean for like her personal life, to go back to it after that. But to know, I think there's a lot of diverse ways that you can be a great final girl. But the main number one thing to be a great final girl is you got to get the job done in the end, you know? And how fun is it to watch you do that? It's really easy to get frustrated by a final girl that's like not keep it up, you know? My favorite final girl, this probably changes depending on what I'm watching, but I love Erin from Your Next. Okay. I love her. I feel like, you know, we could date if I wasn't married, maybe. I love her so much in that movie. Because she's the first final girl I watched. Like I think I mentioned, you know, I grew up partially in Arkansas. You know, my family moved from New York to Arkansas, so that was like a huge transition for me as a kid. And I got to know a whole entirely new demographic that I'd really never had contact with before, and just like get into a whole bunch of different kinds of communities. And the Erin and Your Next really demonstrated the kind of final girl, the kind of girl you want to be on your crew in these kinds of situations, which is like a survivalist redneck, you know, like she's so crafty in that movie. She's putting nails in boards, she's stealing weapons, she's like scurrying around. In fact, she's so great at like holding herself down that the other characters are like, it's kind of weird how fast you're adapting to this situation. And she's like, well, you know, my dad, survivalist, cult maybe, you know, that was my childhood. And the minute she says that shit, you're like, oh, hell. They really, you know, you have that visceral sense of like, I mean, they really messed with the wrong girl in this movie. And that is the best feeling you want to have about a final girl, which is just that you really messed with the wrong one. Don't pick on rednecks. Don't pick on survivalist rednecks specifically. She could do so much. I love how versatile she is. I love Erin.
Erin drinks Pabst malt liquor, if such a thing exists.
If it exists, Erin could slam that with though. I love that you mentioned that movie because Adam Wingard needs to start making horror again. He's made his money off King Kong. I think he needs to just take those big Hollywood bucks and make horror again because he made Your Next, several of the short films in the VHS series, The Guest.
Yeah,
the guy was killing it. And you know, take your money. Take your money. I'm not going to judge him for Godzilla, but I want him to go back to horror. Jeremy, what do you think about Final Girls?
So, like, when it comes to a final girl, like, you obviously have to, first off, you have to want her to survive, right? You don't want to get through the whole movie and be like, man, I really hope somebody kills this lady, because she got to go. I don't know. I think what does kind of set it apart, like, she needs that sort of drive to go from hunted to hunter, like at a certain point, you can't terrorize her anymore, and now she is a dangerous thing, or at least she's gone a little crazy in the eyes, and you're like, wow, I don't know how this is actually going to go. Which kind of leads me to my last thing is, and it's more a point about the movie the final girl is in rather than the final girl herself, in which, and I've mentioned this a little bit before, like, it can't be hopeless. Like, it can't be like, well, she's for certain going to die, because that's just like going to sap the degree to which I can even care about the characters and the movie. Is like, if I think that nobody can be okay except for the asshole doing the stabbing, then, like, I'm just checking out automatically. So, like, when it comes to, like, say, a favorite final girl, I just don't have the amount of exposure to the genre as everybody else. So, for right now, the top spot has to go to Alice from the Resident Evil franchise, who is the final girl of the first movie and then murders her way through the rest of the movies.
Yeah. She kind of does the Die Hard thing, where in movie 1 she's a normal person who survives, and then she's James Bond,
or
then
Rambo.
She's just
the Rambo.
She's just carving a bloody murder canyon through all the bad decisions the Umbrella Corporation has ever made.
And so, good for her, I say.
Yeah,
honestly,
good for her.
That's the final girl I don't want to be on the bad side of.
Clay, you made a good point, and now I feel like I need to write an article about all of the movie franchises where that happens, where it's like movie 1, totally normal. Movie 2, 3, crazy change of like Rambo first movie is like a crazy in-depth analysis of PTSD, and then movie 2 is just Sylvester Stallone kills a jungle.
Well, when you write your article, Travis, I want you to also take note of like the clothing, okay? Because she ran around killing zombies, and everything she does in like a red asymmetrical dress in the game, you know, that she's doing it in like a leather mini skirt. It was like that era of female protagonists in horror.
Sure
where
was.
I'm like, I guess I'm gonna add this to also what makes a great final girl. If she gets to wear pants at any point in the movie, that's how you know it's really about to go down.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yes,
absolutely.
True. Clay, what do you think? What are your thoughts on the final girl?
I'm thinking about this question as y'all are going around, and I'm trying to decide. I need to take a poll on whether any of these 3 women even count as final girls. Because Neena, I think you brought up everything that needs to be included. And my most important thing is like, I need to believe that they would survive the situation. And Erin's a great fucking example because like she has that background of like, I don't particularly love when it's like, yeah, the whole football team's been murdered by the slasher, but like this like 90-pound girl is gonna like kill him like in hand-to-hand combat. I'm not necessarily buying it. I have a hard time buying into that. Just from a straight up purely physical thing. But like I love when the background's there and it's like, yeah, you have nails and a baseball bat, that'll fucking do it. Like you were prepared and like you weren't drinking at the party because you were ready to fuck some shit up. Like, let's go. And you know, it also works for me like if it all makes sense. But so there's like the first 3 women that came to mind as far as like my favorite female protagonists in horror are Evelyn from The Mummy. Don't know if she counts as a final girl because I don't think that's a slasher.
I wouldn't think so. No.
Exactly.
Great pick.
Next one that comes to mind. So like I'm saying, I'm filtering through these.
Yes.
The first slasher one, that easy, obvious slasher one is like Ripley. I would just go back to Alien because it's my favorite slasher.
Yep.
And Ripley the whole time, again, very capable, position of leadership, being disrespected the entire time. And from the very beginning is like, hey, this is fucked. Like we should all do something about all of this. And they're just like, don't worry about it. Okay. And then she's the only one who survives and she saves her fucking cat. So Ripley is the ultimate final girl to me. Yeah. But does Thomasin from The Witch count as a final girl? Because that's kind of a slasher.
I would say no, because of how her story ends. The final girl has to defeat the evil. She joins it.
Not join the evil. Fair.
Yeah.
I just fully can die
she just
too.
What do
fully
you
becomes
does Thomasin in The Witch have to defeat the devil? Or can she just be like, maybe the devil's chill?
Yeah, for me, it's not quite it's not that like she joins the devil that makes me feel like she's disqualified. It's like there's something about it. It's like such a grounded, it's not grounded, but you know, there's like a big family drama aspect. Final girls, I don't know, it feels weird to be like, haha, like there's the difference between being like, all the cheerleaders got killed, but I, quirky weird girl, got to live because I'm unique, versus like, yes, my siblings and parents are dead, but I got to live.
Yeah,
it just doesn't hit the same way as, you know, the mix of stoners and jocks and all the other tropes that kind of go along.
There's no element
totally
of
agree.
like, no element of the like, if you would have been like me, you would have made it. The Witch is just like, no one was making it out of that.
No one
No,
was making it.
I mean, it's her taking a baby, right? You're just like, then she like, you remember that whole scene? I'm like,
I love that movie so much, but I didn't expect any of this to pass. I just kind of wanted to get the readings of why these women were in fact not final girls. And so now I have it. Yeah. Because I was kind of also pondering, and maybe I'll just ask this as a quick question. But can you be a final girl in a non-slasher, or can the final girl only exist in a slasher? Is the slasher a prerequisite to the existence of a final girl? Or can you be like is Furiosa a final girl?
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I can we give people time to think about that while I answer the first one?
Yeah, because that's super out of left field. I only bring it up because I was thinking about all my favorite horror heroines, and most of them aren't in slashers because that's not my genre. But I was kind of like, man, can any of them be final girls? Because there's ways that The Mummy is like a slasher, you know, like it literally has the body countdown, like everybody who opens the Kenobic jars and he's collecting them one by one like a slasher. But obviously it turns into like an action film at the end. But at the same time, don't all slashers kind of do that? Like it always turns into an action film at the end. So why isn't The Mummy a slasher?
It might be, but I think Evelyn would be disqualified as final girl because she's not the final girl.
Because she's not the only one left.
Like 3 people live.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser is the final girl of that movie.
Yeah, Brendan Fraser.
He does have the best hair, and I mean, no one can really contest that.
And so I want everybody to think on that because that's a great question, and we'll come back to it. I do real quick want to say Laurie Strode is my favorite, and here's why. Okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit here because I consider Halloween a trilogy. And I just disregard a large amount of the movies because they did some really stupid shit.
That's fair.
So the trilogy for me is Halloween, Halloween 2, and Halloween H2O. And using Nina's sort of like categorization of the final girl has to grow. I think Laurie Strode's growth through those 3 films is so good. Like whatever you think about the movies, her character arc from sort of unwitting babysitter, super innocent, doesn't really want to be pulled into this, but somehow survives, like defeats Michael Myers purely on luck, essentially, to Halloween 2, like is in the hospital, has just suffered this terrible thing, has more of an awareness of like, oh, he's a killer that can't be stopped. I need to do everything I can to get out of the situation. So she's kind of grown up there. And then you skip like 5 movies and go to H2O, and she's a parent who is paranoid and has PTSD and is like, has prepared herself in case he ever comes back to deal with the problem. So then we get her in her Aaron stage, basically, of like, and the remakes tried to do that. I don't think they did as good as H2O did. But you could maybe give the first remake credit on that, of like Laurie Strode as an adult being ready for Michael to come back. And we get to see that sort of like, oh, you want to kill me? No, we're not doing this again. It's not going to go the same way that it went when I was a teenager. I think that's a really cool arc, and I think it's really well fulfilled in H2O. And then they made the brilliant Halloween Resurrection, which is a terrible movie, but is real fun. So everyone should go watch that because it's a blast. You get the iconic line, "Trick or treat, motherfucker." It's the best.
You do get that. If nothing else, you get that.
Yeah. So Clay's question.
It took so long.
Yeah. To Clay's question, everybody. I would love to hear your answer first, Nina. Can final girls be in anything else but a slasher?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I kind of want to go back to Leslie Vernon. Because I'm wondering if it's like final girl as a label is a little reductive. It feels a little restrictive. I could think of a lot of movies, like if it's like Hush, which is excellent, but it's one woman and one killer. Do you consider that a final girl? Or Crawl, which is a shockingly good movie about a woman facing off against an alligator in her flooded house. It's one woman, one alligator. Do you consider that, a final girl? But I think it's the difference between, like, final girl itself implies that it's going to be working in conjunction with some other tropes. It might be, there might be a sense of isolation. There's going to be maybe more than one character. And then, like, you're going to have, like, the human itself might be supernatural in nature, but they're going to be stalked by some kind of entity, and it just got, and killed one by one, and like until there's only one left. In the movie that we're discussing on this episode, they never call her a final girl. They call her, a survivor girl. And the first time I saw this movie, I was like, well, maybe the language had not quite clarified and settled at the time at which it came out. Like when you're listening to them in context, it very much is like they are talking about a final girl trope, but they do call her a survivor girl. And I'm wondering, none of these things would be a problem if we ditched the final girl label for the survival girl label. I'm like, maybe they actually were trying to offer some commentary about this, because why all of these women feel like final girls, even if they're not operating inside a slasher structure, is because what makes a final girl is not necessarily these specific reductive plot elements. It's all about the trajectory of the growth that this girl has, what she survives, what she will go on to do, how will she survive. And so I'm like, maybe Leslie Vernon, maybe they got it right. We should just switch to that instead, and then everybody can be in the pool.
There you go.
That's a good
like
point.
that.
And you brought up two excellent examples. Crawl, I'm with you. Super underrated film. Very
way
fun.
better than it has any right to be.
Right to be. And Hush. Yeah, Hush is so good. He might be making The Dark Tower. He's the Stephen King whisperer, so keep your eyes out for that if you are a Dark Tower fan. Jeremy, you looked like you had something to say.
Well, hey, I've always got things to say, but like when it comes down to like final girl status, and I think it can be applied to way more than just say the slasher genre, which we'll get to, of course. But like when it comes to that specifically, I think who is being killed around you can play a huge part in it, as seen in The Cabin in the Woods, where it's like these people need to die and this person needs to be left for the end to make a good final girl, or a final girl at all. I think it also exists as a part of like pretty specific story structures, and it can't necessarily even be applied to like the same character too many times if that character's role in the story changes after they've become the final girl in really any of the entries. See again the Resident Evil movies, where Alice is the final girl one time and then psychic killing machine the rest of the time. Great.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think to maybe Clay's point, I don't know what he was getting at, but like a lot of things can be.
Wow.
Look, I don't know your life, but maybe this was the point you were making.
Maybe.
Just look, if you think I'm right, then if you think I sound smart after I say it, then just be like, yes, this was my point all along. You did it. But like, there are a lot of ways for someone to be a final girl. I think that Odysseus is a fantastic final girl.
Oh my god.
We're really not
Absolutely incredible final girl. I don't name the tropes, I just point them out. Okay?
No.
A week from today, everybody will be talking about
1
the
week
Odyssey.
from today, Travis
That sentence
will...
hurt me.
It burns precious.
It burns
Hey,
precious.
He is a little bit of a final girl if you think of Poseidon as a slasher.
Which, listen, I can see the logic. I just reject it.
That really sums up most of our relationship. But I think that's...
I don't know about that.
Like, when you line up the things that make a final girl, I think you really would be surprised what fits in there. That's all I'm saying. Maybe it's all Clay was saying too. He has refused to take credit as of yet.
It's an interesting.
I don't take credit for this idea. I don't take credit for this idea at all. But I do respect it, Jeremy. I do respect the attribution of Final Girl to Odysseus, and I love that as a preview for next week's episode with CS Humble. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
It's gonna be fantastic.
Seth, if you're listening right now, I want you to think about this: is Odysseus a final girl? Why or why not?
Yep, that's a great question.
See, this is why we needed to have more women for the final girl discussion. Okay.
Yes.
You got ideas like that in your head. It's such a sausage party idea that you have right now.
Nina, when I thought of this question, I did not think that Odysseus as a final girl would come up. That came out of left field for me too. I'm just saying.
So out of left field.
So out of left field. Yeah, I think you threw me. I had stuff to say, Jeremy, but I've lost it. Which is okay.
Now it's gone.
It's okay that it's gone because we can just move on from all of that. My last
Odysseus
question
is my final girl.
Oh, stop.
Oh my God.
Please stop. Okay. My last question, which is usually the pretentious question of the week, and I do think this fits the category, but it's on the low end of the pretension scale.
Okay.
I would love to know because I'll set this question up a little bit with the rise of Leslie Vernon. Nina, you offered in your defense of the movie during the debate that the lead actor, I forget his name, is just phenomenal, and Leslie Vernon is like a fantastic personality. He like carries a lot of the propulsion of the narrative because he's so charismatic and the performance is so well done, and it's funny, but it's also menacing. Clayton mentioned the scene in the van. Like a lot of that weight fell on his shoulders. So cool that you got his autograph. And my question from that is, how much weight, I want to know as writers, how much weight should your lead shoulder in both books and movies? So how do you approach that as a writer of like, what burden are you putting on your protagonist, on your primary character, on your lead to carry the narrative through and not relying as much on the side characters?
Well, that's a tough question for me because I think my side characters really pop off also.
Yes,
I'm a very character-centered writer. I start with who these people are. I like to think I create such singular characters regardless of like what it is they're trying to achieve. Something I'm really proud of is like, regardless of which of my books that you're reading, even if I scrubbed off the title at the top that said whose point of view it's in, from the first few lines whose point of view you're in, because these characters are all extremely distinctive. This is because I went through that big fantasy phase as a child, and it really pissed me off. So many of these books, they got 10 points of view and 6 of them are like the same guy for some reason, and you're like, why are you doing that? So I feel very strongly about this. But no, I think especially in horror, it's something that is there's really nothing as refreshing to me as a character who is like a real surprise, who has, is off bringing something to the table that you haven't quite seen before. Their problem solving is going to be different. I think characters, even minor characters, really have such a huge role. There's something, and I feel like a lot of horror fans feel the same way. Cabin in the Woods did such a great job at isolating the various roles that support characters have, and then talk about those guys. Like even, like the guy at the gas station, was it like the Harbinger kind of character where they only have a few lines, they're minor, but they are so important still for like grounding and centering the story. And, you listen to that and exactly kind of where this is going from that minor character. But no, I don't think any character should be is you can afford to write off in a story. I think every character should be bringing that fire, regardless of what the fire looks like for your particular jam. Does that answer any part of your question?
I think so, and I love your reference to fantasy because it's definitely a genre that uses that a lot, the multiple POVs, and I think to your point, even some of my favorites don't use it well to where I love Wheel of Time. Robert Jordan's one of my favorites. He wrote like 4 women 25 times. That's, and same with a lot of his male characters are just the same guy with a different voice. and it happens a lot. So I think you definitely answered it, and I love your point at the end there about no one should be just written off. I'm reading a lot of Stephen King right now. I don't know why, and I got hooked on him. And he does that a lot with his minor characters. Like The Dark Tower, I just started the first book, The Gunslinger, and there's all these villages he passes through in the desert, and he just meets like random passerbys, and they all matter. And then they die, but like they matter for the 2 pages they're on before he shoots them. And I'm like, that makes the story more impactful. So very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremy, hopefully I didn't throw you off what you were going to answer with my rambling.
Don't worry, Travis. My groove is unthrowable.
Good.
So it's
unlike Cusco.
But yes, such a throwable groove, that guy. Yeah, but I mean, when it comes to like, so what I think, it really depends on the kind of story you're trying to tell. Because like, when you think of some of the biggest and most popular like stories out there's books, movies, whatever, like a lot of those have a lead protagonist just not shouldering any of the burden to like they are basically there as a blank slate to absorb the story on behalf of the audience, which is why in like say Pirates of the Caribbean, everyone remembers most of what Johnny Depp did as Captain Jack Sparrow, but like try to think of a single line Orlando Bloom said in that movie. Go on, do it.
I've got one.
What's yours, Travis? I would like to know.
Elizabeth Goes Free?
No, it's when they commandeer Elizabeth Goes Free. It's when they commandeer the first ship, and like Jack Sparrow's being all Jack Sparrowy, and he's like, "I avast!" Like he does this stupid pirate voice, and it's really bad. That's the one I remember.
Well, you do need a straight man sometimes.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah.
You need that blank slate. You need that Keanu Reeves type sometimes to just
channel the story out to the audience.
The story's just gonna happen through him, and the audience is gonna be like, man, that vague protagonist is just like me. He's not making choices at all. He's just also there.
That's really interesting, because I feel like horror fears are like personal, you know, and in the context of like a horror story, you can't really know, like you need to know who this person is to know why this scenario is like particularly scary for them. You know, there are certain universal fears could happen to anyone, but the best horror is marrying, right? Like an inner conflict, and like that's manifesting through their circumstances.
Yeah, I think you do get a lot less of that in a slasher genre because of how universal the fear of getting stabbed to death happens to be.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to be like, oh man, this person is uniquely afraid of being stabbed to death. I'm like, I don't think that's all that unique, really.
That's a really good point, though, Nina. Yeah. Like, I think of a lot of contemporary horror, especially like psychological vein horror, stuff you've seen from, you know, Talk to Me or other movies that are in that vein. The Babadook or Talk to Me are the first two that jump to my mind, but that's like where you have to be really intimate with the characters for the movie to be effective, and therefore that intimacy with the characters is priority number one. And again, that's a movie with lots of side characters, but nobody doesn't matter. Like, I agree with you, Nina. When I'm trying to write stuff, I try not to write characters that are just extraneous or just there for no reason. I don't really see the point in that. Like, if a character doesn't earn their place on the page, then I don't know why they're there. But I think horror is a little bit maybe privileged in that regard, where we have a bit more of an intimate, sort of closed circuit on what the story we're trying to tell. We're not trying, if you're, for example, you know, a lot of horror is set in contemporary setting, so we don't have to explain the entire world or this political system or this magic system. Like, people understand when we say like we're in a cabin in the woods, they get it. Like they're like, oh, got it. Okay, I have an idea of what a cabin in the woods is. That's good enough. And whatever my version of that isn't enough, you will fill me in on what I need to know specifically. So I think horror having that sort of edge when it comes to, if it's not like historical horror or something that relies on the setting very specifically, you can skip a lot of that sort of like extra stuff that I think in fantasy or sci-fi creates a lot of extra characters that don't mean anything. However, I still think that's something I love about horror. It's just that intimacy of all the characters, because if you don't care if somebody dies, then nothing is scary. And at the end of the day, that's like the key. That's like the secret ingredient of good horror. So you have to care about all the characters that you're going to kill, or you at least have to care about the character who survives them, so that there's an impact emotionally and there's an actual fear created. So I don't think you have much space in horror to create characters that don't matter. And like you said, Travis, Stephen King, there's a reason he's the king. Like he is a master of that. And there's many other writers who have mastered it as well. But he's really good at making every single character matter at least enough that when they die, you care enough for it to have an impact.
Yeah, or even making the like community itself a character. I really liked that about Salem's Lot, one of his earliest books. You can see some of the like early writer things where it's like, oh yeah, you developed that later a lot more distinctly and sharper. But one of the things that just, I'm like, this is why he got huge, is the chapters that describe the lot are like the best chapters. You're like, I want to know about this town and how it's being enveloped by this darkness. But Neena, if I could kind of make a little follow-up if you have time, because I really like the point you made of how genre affects this, because I'm starting to think Jeremy got my mind spinning with Keanu Reeves of like, I think it is a huge thing where there are certain genres maybe, and maybe you push back on me and tell me I'm wrong here, but there are certain genres like horror that can't have that blank slate protagonist, and others that it works for. Because I'm even thinking of action films, Keanu Reeves, where it's like you can't really have the blank slate protagonist, but the motivations don't have to be deep. Like John Wick, his dog died. He wants to kill everyone who killed his dog. Another Keanu Reeves movie, Speed. He's just driving.
Wait. Are you implying that somebody killing your dog is not a good reason to go on a murder spree?
No, great reason.
I absolutely would.
Great reason.
10 times out of 10.
But what I'm saying is it's not, I don't think you could get away with that in horror. It's
like
not
that's not enough.
It's not a psychological in-depth reason as much. It maybe develops later, but like Speed, he's driving a bus. He has to finish driving the bus. Like that's the thing, but he's not a blank slate. He has a motivation. That's a bit rambly, but I guess my follow-up question is like, how much do you think genre does, to the point that genre is actually a thing, affect this like ability you have to play with your protagonist's importance?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think it's tough because all of this is so subjective, right? No two writers are the same and no two readers are the same. Genre such as it is, the lines are so thin, you know, between them, and kind of arbitrary and made up, and also like 60% marketing that we don't have any control over, you know. And so certainly there are certain thrill genres, I think, where like having the kind of protagonist of like, you can like see yourself in this character, you know, isn't that what, I didn't hear your rant on Twilight earlier, but isn't that what made, you know, Bella a character that like, I read it and I was like, I don't get this bitch. I don't get it at all, but this isn't for me. But other people did read it and they're like, maybe I can be her and I can like have a wonderful romance with an old man. Also, it's something that could happen to me, you know. Or I read a bunch when I was younger of like the, you know, Jack Reacher, like Lee Child series, and now when I look at it, I'm just like, he's just like a 6-foot hunk of nothing. You know, just like absolutely nothing going on in there. And I mean, but I guess that just means to me, my preferences as a reader and a writer is any story to me is going to be elevated by having a really distinctive personality type, whether that's romance or fantasy or thriller or horror. So I don't know if that's, I'm like, is it just me and y'all out here really loving these characters that you could really see yourself in? But maybe this is also because, you know, I'm a woman of color. And so coming up as a reader, you are never really seeing yourself in most things. That's just not even like an expectation that's like even on the table. Everybody I was reading, it's like, oh, their lives are so completely dissimilar. This is what makes reading escapism, you know, at that stage of my life. Although, you know, reading has, you know, there's a lot more diversity in horror, which is amazing. And so it kind of is like a new thought that I'm only having now of being able to read and say, oh, is that person similar to me? Can I see myself in them? But no, I think regardless of the genre, I just prefer a character that even if they are obnoxious, even if they are 10 toes down terrible villain, I would much rather see that like extremely the crystallization of that personality than to have somebody who's a nothing burger where you're like, there's really no thoughts going on at all. They're just nothing at all.
Yeah, I think that too. I think like the best characters have some level to me of like a universal experience to them. Like you can read somebody who's from a completely different background, demographic, social status, whatever, and if they're written really well, there's going to be some nugget of them that connects with you of like, I've felt that emotion before. Maybe not in that way, but like, oh, I can see what's going on there. I don't know if that's true or not, but Claire, Jeremy, do you have any comments to jump in before we wrap up?
Well, I think it can kind of vary from genre to genre, but I think Nina kind of hit on it a little bit. Like when writing, say, an everyman or anybody, it's like no matter how every you think your everyman is, they really aren't. There's somebody where like being kind of nothing and absorbing the situation in front of you and doing whatever, that's not going to be what lines up with every person reading or watching. And that's why, like, you know, if we're talking Twilight, I'll talk Twilight all day. Like Bella, as blank slate as she is, because she's not the same type of blank slate that I would be, she's still making decisions as a character that I'm like, wow, you really like to run at those red flags now, don't you? That's incredible. Okay. And it adds this layer of separation that isn't necessarily there when you have a more intentionally defined character as like, oh, this character believes in this, and as such they are going to sort of be informed by that going forward. And even if it's not something that I am going to do in that same situation, it makes way more sense than being like, yep, this person's just as normal as you and me, and then they go do some crazy shit, and I just have to buy that that's normal?
Like fall in love with a 1,000-year-old man?
Yeah. Like, be like...
Or like a 1,000-year-old man still being essentially a teenager mentally.
Yeah, should I bone this
What are we doing
ancient 17-year-old?
Learn something,
or
you
this
fuck.
dog man? What should I do? Like,
it's really
Dang
just
the
the
dog
status
man,
on
he's
how
your
tough
age.
dating is these days.
Right. Yeah. It's a
Dating,
commentary.
it's garbage. This is where we're at.
1,000-year-old
dog man is your age. That's all.
1,000-year-old man,
a dog
boy, or
man
dog
falls
man.
in love with a baby, Clay.
I know it's not right, Jeremy. I'm just saying. Like, it's the age gap is significantly smaller by like literal centuries.
Yeah.
It's not good.
I mean, it is kind of a tool. It's actually a real achievement to be that old and have not experienced any kind of social emotional growth. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
You really gotta.
You're really
Look
trying.
how Lestat did like so many 360-degree revolutions in that same amount of time. Okay.
Yeah.
Good for you, Edward. Good for you.
Never change.
Good
Never
for you.
change. You're killing it.
Never change, because
He read that in his first yearbook in 1402, and
Never
he took that to heart.
Yeah, love that. This all reminds me of like whenever a RPG game is like announced to be adapted, there's always inevitably like the 6 articles from usually guys who are like, they're gonna ruin this character. It's not gonna be exactly how I made my character. It's like it's a role-playing game, dude. Revan can be whatever Revan wants to be. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like your
Revan live his
is
life.
not the Revan. Yep.
I personally created like 6 different Geralts of Rivia. Like there was very different versions of him for me. And all of them were Mad Mikkelsen, and that was a terrible miscasting.
Yep.
I have nothing else to add. Nina crushed that question, so I don't think we need a third white dude talking on the subject.
Take us out, Clay.
Okay, everybody. So the last thing we do on Fermented Fiction, well, the second to last thing, is we rate this movie. So we're going to rate it by how many drinks or substances of your choice you need to enjoy it to its fullest extent. Jeremy, you want to show us how it works? We'll end with you, Nina, so that you can take us out by telling everybody one more time who you are and what you do. Jeremy, how many drinks or substances of your choice to enjoy Leslie Vernon to the fullest extent?
Now, I'm not sure this is going to show anybody how this works at all, but
sure,
I will do it. Now, this is absolutely a party movie, and you could, first of all, you'll want to gather the substances they enjoy in the movie, which is, of course, beer, vodka, and getting way too high to function. So you'll want those at the ready to deploy as you like. You'll want to, of course, have, like, a shot ready whenever during the sort of mockumentary found footage phase they cut to like real cinematic footage and they don't explain it and just like knock one back. just shoot it real quick. Now, whenever you're wondering why Taylor feels like following this person whose stated aspiration is to be an unstoppable killer type, and like wondering to yourself, like, wait, how did they get like in touch with this, set up these interviews, whatever? You just knock another one back. Just if that thought comes into your head, knock one back, get it right out of there. It's not gonna help you. It won't. All right.
True.
And, of course, throughout the course of the movie, you will need 3 shots of equal measure. Make sure they're equal. Because this movie is equal parts documentary, B-movie slasher, and college thesis on a useless subject.
Sure.
So, 1 for each of those. And, you know what? Have another one for the absolute just beautiful audacity that this film decides to put itself in the same universes of Freddy, Jason, and Michael Myers. And just have a great time. Good luck. You.
It's a good system.
I like it.
Yeah.
Who's up?
That's
Who's
where
up,
we're at.
Clay?
Travis.
You or me? Okay.
Do it.
I'm gonna say you're going to get to. All right, here's my system. You're gonna get a bunch of these guys. Okay. Because this isn't a farming. Small suburb town. They're drinking Pabst for sure. And you're gonna take a big swig. Every time you reach a moment where it's like, would I stop this documentary now? And you're going to take a swig if your answer is no. And you're going to take a swig if your answer is yes.
Good call.
Just
Either
every time you
way,
have the thought.
either way you're drinking, when you have the thought, would I be done with this whole thing at this point? You're going to drink. So that's going to depend on the person, right? Some people aren't going to think that as much. I thought it quite a bit of like, would this be the moment? I don't know. And then when it stops being a mockumentary and turns into like just a slasher film and it's all real, you're going to put this away and you're going to crack out your bourbon and be like, oh shit, like this is real. And then you're just going to take a little drink every time they make a mistake that they should have seen coming. Because that's how we react in situations of terror. We often just run right into the red flag.
Sure. I like it.
That's my system.
I like that system. Okay. I'm gonna say you should just like power hour this movie because it's only like an hour and a half long. So if you just power hour it, that'll get you through like a solid amount of beers and it'll be a fun time and it fits the party vibe of the movie. Now, if you want to crank up the tension, you can play it on hard mode, which is utilizing Travis's system of switching to bourbon once it goes out of found footage, switching to your hard alcohol of choice. I also recommend that whenever Leslie Vernon is training, you train with him. So when he is doing his punching bag, you should do like a bunch of push-ups, like do 25 push-ups for that scene. Or, just however many push-ups you can crank out in the time that it takes to do that scene. And whenever he's running, whenever he's walking very quickly, take your power hour shot and then do some push-ups, work out with Leslie and just, put yourself in the 4D experience of being a slasher. And I think that'll be good for you.
You're going to be so powerful.
Be like
You'll
a
be
beer
so
mile.
powerful.
You'll probably
do a
up.
beer mile. Exactly. Pick a spot on the horizon and run.
Do a beer mile.
Nina, first rate the movie, and then please tell us one more time who you are, what you write, and where people can find you.
Yeah. Well, first, great suggestions, all. I'm gonna take the opposite tack. I think you should have booze when you watch this movie, but it really doesn't matter what you're drinking because regardless of what you're drinking, you're gonna laugh at an inconvenient moment after taking a sip, and that shit's gonna go all up in here. It's gonna go up in your nose, up in your sinuses. You're gonna regret. You're gonna try to keep an eye out. So whatever you drink will come back out of your face in a hilarious way because this movie's hilarious. And in the first half of the movie, you'll be laughing with Leslie Vernon, and then later you'll be laughing at them. As Travis pointed out, they fail and do many preventable mistakes. But thanks y'all so much for having me. I'm Neena Viel. You can find me at Neena Viel. My books are Listen to Your Sister and I'll Watch Your Baby. I'll Watch Your Baby is available wherever you get your books. This is my welfare queen ghost story, y'all, so you should definitely get on it. And I don't know if I'm allowed to say this about myself, but if there's the one I'm proud about in the work that I do, it's messy, complicated, a little speculative. Some of my fans are like, it's weird, but I like it. And I'm like, and I love you, and that's because the things that I do try to put together things that my readers have not seen arranged in that way before. So you haven't seen the kind of morally black or gray antagonist who is leading the story, like in I'll Watch Your Baby. She a villain, but she got a point, which is the best kind of villain. And I want to thank y'all so much for having me because this conversation turned out to be so clarifying for me. My third book, The Trail Provides, which is due so soon, is my final girl story. So I feel like this conversation really confirmed that I'm on the right track. My final girl, she a black redneck in rural Arkansas. So I can make you the same brand promise that I've made in each of my books, which is you have not read about, haven't met a girl like this, and even if I'm playing with some familiar tropes, you've never seen it go down in the way that I'm doing it. And this conversation helped me feel a little bit more strong about that, I'm in the part of writing where I'm like, every other day I'm either crippled by insecurity or I'm like, am I actually a genius?
Perfect.
With that hair flick, absolutely you are.
Thank
100%.
you. So I hope at my writing session tonight, thanks to y'all, I'll be able to be a genius.
Nina, with that writing session tonight, I have to put my plug in here. Could you please just one PBR reference for your boy? Just one.
You got rednecks, right?
You got rednecks. You said rednecks. One PBR.
This is true. I said black rednecks.
Oh,
Black,
that's
true.
We drink different things.
Oh,
that's true.
We've even bootlegged different materials.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's fair.
It's fair.
I had to put it out there. Maybe it
We'll
happens.
see.
Yeah.
We'll see in a year or so if it comes out. If you see there's a line, no, it's just for you, Travis. 100%.
If BBR makes this book, that's what
that is.
Thank you so much.
PBR was 100% not in this book. So if we see it in there, we know what happened. Nina, thank you so much. It's been an absolute joy having you on, as it is every time we cross paths. And great work on everything you've done so far. Good luck on your next book, and thanks again for coming out.
Thank you.
Adios, everybody. See you on the other side. Do like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back tomorrow to do The Boogeyman with Jeff C. Carter, and next Tuesday to do The Odyssey with C.S. Humble.
With
Join us for
the
both of those.
ultimate final girl.
Shut up.